Today's video is all about Realio, Web3 ecosystem for digital and real-world assets. We're going to be doing a deep dive on this project, figuring out if it should be included in our bull run portfolio. Does it have the fundamentals? Is the team strong? Does it have a value proposition that makes it worth it for us to be holders? So you know what? Let's talk about the news, let's analyze the charts, and let's strategize to capitalize. Welcome to the channel. My name is Mike, and let's get right into it, guys. If you're new to the channel, welcome. On the channel, we talk about cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and all the altcoins, looking for opportunities. And of course, guys, I am here once again with another deep dive on another bullish project, Realio. And of course, the bullishness just comes from the overall sentiment in the market, but the reality is a deep dive is due. We're due to figure out truly if this project is worth our while. Is it worth it to include into our portfolio? And I know a lot of us are asking that question. Mike, what should we be including in our bull run portfolio? Guys, we need to be prepared, no doubt. You know, on the channel, we don't mind buying low, of course, and taking a bit of profit. But at the end of the day, we need to stay one step ahead of this market so that we can capitalize on the volatility to the upside when the bull run does come around. And of course, we want to make sure that we are scaled into the bullish projects that have good potentials for gains. Okay, so the question is Realio one of those? Guys, we're going to be doing a deep dive, and we're going to be looking and using the website as our main platform here to kind of navigate this project. And of course, it gives us an opportunity to figure out whether this website, in fact, is also a good way of demonstrating and displaying the information that everybody that is interested in Realio has available to them. Guys, of course, there's a bit to be said here. Let's get right into it. All right, let's begin. Web3 ecosystem for digital and real-world assets. Start staking on Realio network. So clearly, we have staking options. You can click here and go check that out and see what's going on with the staking. Realio network features. Okay, so some of the key features here. Interoperable layer 1 multi-chain Web3 ecosystem. So it is a layer 1. Okay, obviously, Web3 ecosystem focuses on issuance and management of digitally native real-world assets. Guys, this is a narrative that is super hot right now. A lot of people are talking about it. A good thing about it also is that the whole narrative is very small. It's very young. There's not much competition going on there just yet. So there's not a lot of market cap into this narrative, which means that there's future potential growth. Now, we're going to talk about some of the benefits, some of the interesting value propositions, and obviously some of the friction that such projects within this narrative may, basically get in the future. It is designed to fully open source. Okay, it's fully open source, permissionless, and purpose built. Okay, purpose built. What I'm getting towards is that they're trying to say that the layer 1 that they have here is meant for the purpose of governing or management of digital native world assets. Okay, so we'll talk about a little bit of these things as we keep on going on. Okay, so security, okay, fine. Web3 compliant, governance built for its users. The network allows participation, voting in the network, upgrades, and so on and so on. So a bit of a DAO type of scenario. I don't think it has a DAO contract, but nonetheless, I didn't see anything with regards to DAO contracts. So I'm just wondering how they're going to make this governance happen, whether it be a third party type of application where they're taking voting in, which again, it would be nice to see this written on a DAO contract. But nonetheless, let's move on. Distributed key management system issuance. So this is where there's a bit of confusion here. Issuance account keys are sharded and distributed amongst the network validators. Okay, so what I want to be clear on is that Realio has the option to make non-custodial wallets. Okay, so basically they take custody of your wallet. Now here what they're trying to do is say, okay, we basically take the account keys and they're sharded and distributed amongst the network. Exactly, the details would be nice. Honestly, it would be really nice to get a lot more details. And one of the things that Realio doesn't do a good job at is providing details with regards to their project, how it works, and all the fundamentals. And while I'm on this topic, I might as well touch upon it a little bit more, guys. There's no official white paper for this project. Very, very unfortunate. In fact, very shocking that there's no white paper. That's industry standard in order to have a white paper giving you all the technicals in a nice tight package where you can go and read and get everything that you need from a white paper. And there is none. Right? So that for me is a problematic thing. If I want to know more about what this system's all about, there's nothing to be had. If I want to know for a fact that there's no DAO, I would like to know that. And there's nothing here in the documentation, guys. Feel free to go check it out because there's nothing here. Okay, we're going to click on some of these links in a second. So there's staking and tokenization. So the ability to tokenize real world assets, creation of new assets, and secure decentralized process. Now, what's interesting is that a lot of people that are new to crypto and a lot of people that are still, trying to wrap their hands around tokenization would like to know exactly what is meant by the process. What is the process of tokenizing a real world asset? There's an insinuation here that it may be possible, and we're going to touch upon that hopefully as we keep on scrolling around and touching up on these documents, that the reality is that you're going to people that want to write to the blockchain or create a real world asset that is linked to a smart contract. I have a feeling that's what they're leading up to here is every asset's going to have its own smart contract, and users of the network are going to be able to create their contracts for their assets, and in that way they can issue tokens for those assets. Guys, I'm not sure with 100% degree certainty here because again there's no white papers. Few sentences here and there, a few insinuations, and of course we're going to kind of get into it a little bit more to see if we can scrape through some more of this information. Explore. So again, there's a bit of a few links here. Now you're going to see some of them are a bit off. Let's see what goes on. We go here to documentation. There is nothing here with regards to the token itself. Distribution, tokenization, nothing. Only if you want to become a validator, setup. Okay, fine. Running a full node if you're interested in that. Delegators, if you're interested. You get what I mean? Testnet. Okay, great. And they're in the mainnet already, right? Nothing. Genesis file, setup, seeds, nothing for developers, for the ecosystem. Nothing here with regards to talking about the project itself. So for me, X, nothing here, nothing interested. Let's move on. Whoa, what did I do? Okay, let's go back. Now let's get to GitHub. Okay, there's some technical documentation. The blog, guys. The blog is where you might get a little bit more information. I'm going to quickly scroll up. Okay, the blog. Let me click the blog for a second. And I just want to, now that we're on this topic, and you can see that we completely left that website. And this is one of the issues that I'm having right now with Realio is, look at this. This is realio.network. And then when you click the blog, it takes you to Realio fund. So realio.fund. Now I'm going to quickly, while we're on this topic, quickly go to CoinGecko, and I'm going to show you that the website that is officially linked here, is the fund. So unfortunately, anybody that does any research on this project is going to be sent to this website. And this website, unfortunately, let's go back to the main page, is the second Realio website. So to reiterate, guys, more confusion here is that they have two websites going here. Realio Network website, which we're still on. We're not going to deviate from that for a second. And this one right here, which hosts other things, other information, and also the blog, which is what I just clicked. Okay, so we're going to touch upon this website in a second. But for now, let's continue here and just continue through. Just remember that this blog is on the second website. More confusion, guys. Okay, so then we have the Explorer, which is obviously where you can get a lot of the on-chain metrics, which of course there's going to be more than one Explorer, given that this is an interoperable network right now. They're on Algorand and they're on XLM, and I think obviously their own network. So There's going to be a few explorers there that we're going to have to look at. And there's not much information, but we'll definitely do that. And then their Discord and their Twitter. Okay, so we're going to talk about their socials in a second. And let's just continue for now. Okay, so explore. Feel free to explore, but yet and not really any valuable information on these, documentations or, any links here. Okay, let's continue. The real world network utility token. Great. This is supposed to be their roadmap. Okay, at least they got some information here, which is great. What they're achieving at the network launch, which is something they already have achieved at Genesis, delegating to real network validators for block rewards and transaction assets tokenization fees. And okay, fine. And then the future, the forthcoming, what they plan on going forward. Fee burning, nothing in the works with regards to that. Although this is something that a lot of people are bullish about, this is not really happening right now. So they can say whatever they want with regards to future, but until it actually happens, it's still speculation. Everything in cryptocurrency right now is still in speculation, even down to individual project roadmaps are still in speculation. So let's see what happens in the time coming. There are no official dates as to when they want to make these things happen, which is an unfortunate thing for accountability. And I've seen a little bit of a trend here with a lot of projects not wanting to be held accountable for actual completing or progressing through their roadmaps. Okay, so I'm not trying to spread any negativity here on Realio, but if you're going to be legit about what you want to achieve, at least give us a bit of a time frame. Is it going to be first quarter, second quarter, third quarter? You get what I mean? Give us a little bit of an idea of where you want to be at so that we can align ourselves accordingly with you as a team member or as an investor or as a stakeholder into the Realio network. Okay, we want a bit more detail. Rio Genesis, guys, a lot more to offer here. I wish they provided a little bit more information. Okay, so we're going to have to really pick this thing apart as best as we can, given that, again, there's no white paper. This is the token distribution, okay, reward emissions. It's based on a schedule. I just want to, I can't even zoom in on this, but let's see if I can. Let's see if it's possible. Let's get this going right into here if we can. Okay, not bad. Okay, so you can see that Rio right now as we speak, more or less, it's basically a lot of it is in distribution already. To be exact, okay, while we're on this topic, again, I have to be bouncing around, guys. There's no white paper, and I'm going to show you why I have to be bouncing around as well. It's because all the information on CoinGecko and CoinMarketCap are wrong. All the tokenomics, all the numbers, all the distribution, all the supply, everything is wrong. The market cap, all of it is wrong. Why? It's because they didn't have it up to date. Now, whose fault is this? Is this the Realio network's fault, or is it CoinMarketCap or CoinGecko? At this point, accountability can be blamed on many individuals. The reality is that CoinMarketCap and CoinGecko are individual businesses that do have the responsibility, if they want to have up-to-date information, to seek for that information. But at the end of the day, Realio also has the obligation to make this information ready, available, and make it clear to the community that these stats are not accurate. Okay, so let's go back for a second to the original website. Given that right up here, you do have a bit of they do provide information, so I'm going to give them kudos for that, for trying their best to give us a lot more info that might be a bit more accurate. But unfortunately, this is not accurate. Okay, this is not accurate. So let's stick with this little chart right now. You see that there's 38 years. The entire distribution of 75 million tokens, Rio tokens, are going to be in complete distribution after 38 years. And more or less, we're right around here, where currently we have 55 million in distribution. Where do you get that number? Guys, unfortunately, the number is not available on CoinGecko and CoinMarketCap. Okay, so you're going to have to kind of dig around and find that. So I'm letting you know, at Genesis, 45 million were in distribution, which, again, another layer of confusion, guys. There's so much confusion here. They're called X Reals. At Genesis, they released Reals called X Reals, and those X Reals now that they're mainnet, they can be converted into Rio tokens. And we're going to talk about that again, because there's a blog that we're going to have to rely on to get some of our details, unfortunately. But we'll get into that in a second. So the good thing about this, distribution is that, the dilution, the supply is going to be released very, very slowly onwards, right? Up until now, we have 55 million, which is fine. To reach the 75 million, which is the complete supply, the max supply, it's going to take 30 years left. So over those 30 years, expect a little bit of a supply hitting the market, which shouldn't cause a negative pressure on the network or the price, the coin price, which is good, which is something that we kind of like. So from a tokenomics perspective, it's not bad. Okay, the tokenomics need a little bit more ironing out and clarity, but of course, we're going to try to do that here. Let's continue. Realio Verse. Okay, Realio Verse is a real-world theme design-driven open source city environment, which, of course, it's one of their products, right? It's one of their main things that they're trying to offer to the community. And if we click it, let's open this in a new tab. Yeah, it's this right here. Let's make sure it's the same website. Yeah, it is. Great. So look at that. Fork the world. They're basically going to sell different real estate, real world themed immersive digital land experience that enables you to buy and sell, build land parcels on a virtual earth. Okay, great. So this is one of their, metaverse, let's say, or a type of ideas of tokenizing real estate, virtual real estate. Let's see what happens here, guys. We've seen what happened to the metaverse. We've seen what happened to projects in a very similar, with similar ideas, and they didn't do too well. But again, maybe this could be round two. Maybe that was just proof of concept, and they have something under up their sleeves that could definitely give us real world value, or offer us some sort of value proposition that offers, solutions to some sort of problem. Let's see what they got going on here. If you launch the app, there's nothing here yet. You need a password, it's coming, and so on and so on. So guys, nothing really in play here nonetheless. Okay, let's get back to the website. Again, let's keep on scrolling. Learn more. We have the Realio Fund, Realio Verse, which we've talked about it. This is eliminating barriers to invest in trade, leverage, private real estate, DeFi, decentralized finance. We got to talk about this in a little bit more for a second, but Freehold Wallet, this is something that non-custodial. This is something that you got to understand here, guys. Up until the last little while, all they have, and even still now, they didn't release it yet, is non-custodial wallets, meaning that you're going to have to rely on the Realio network to hold your tokens. Now, I know a lot of you are saying, but Mike, I can go on an exchange and buy real tokens, but I'm not talking about real tokens. The reality is that this project, Realio, is a two-token system. And this is something that not a lot of people understand. It's a two-token system. It's a hybrid. So we're going to have to talk about this, of course, because it makes a lot of sense. Okay, and it might not be you might be positioning yourself in a way that may not be exactly as intended. Okay, so two tokens, Real, the native currency of the Realio network, and then RST, a hybrid token that represents ownership of Realio ecosystem, provides utility functions on the network. The reality is, no pun intended, is that RST is the token that you actually kind of get residuals from by being a land holder. Okay, Real is just a utility token. So I'm hoping that we can get a lot of this ambiguity ironed out on those blog posts, because the blog, like I showed you earlier, that is the only type of white paper that we have that was issued by the team that we can get some information from, but nothing technical, nothing deep, nothing that clear, but nonetheless, that's all we got. So we got to run with it. Okay, so now that we've done the first this is the landing page, is the website. It's not bad, well, decently designed, everything that you kind of need, I guess. There are some gaps that we want to know. I wish there was a little bit more information with regards to the overall supply and the emissions, and the 55 million tokens, how were they distributed, and so on. I'm assuming it's fair launch, but again, unless those words are clearly stated, no one really knows, right? Okay, let's keep on going. Let's see what we got here. Let's go to the not this one. Let's go to the other website. We might as well. So this is the website that you get directed to from CoinGecko. Okay, so when you go to CoinGecko and you want to do research, this is what you get pushed to. In fact, you get push to the blog. Guys, they rely heavily on their blog to disseminate information, technical information. And for me, that's a very, very unprofessional thing to do, especially a blog. The website is great. Okay, you need to have a static website and one of them that kind of give direction. This is like 2 websites, and I don't even know what the purpose of these 2 websites are. So let's move on. The future of private equity is digital. A lot of repetition. Fine. Routers, Bloomberg, CoinDesk, Business Insider. A lot of talk about this project here and there. Press releases. They made a T0 partnership, which is good. They plan on working together. There was another one that was really interesting. Bitcoin, no, not that one. Let's see this one. This company right here, 250 plus million Valentus fund to tokenize institutional grade investment opportunities. So there are, let's say, working together. There are projects working together here to maximize potential, which is good. It's a small project. You can't expect heavyweight partnerships right now, but at least they're actively looking for strategic partnerships, which is good. Okay, which is a positive thing. Now, that's all you got here on this website. A little bit of this, a little bit of that. And then, of course, the only thing we can do is start looking into some of these aspects here. Let's stick within the website context, and then we'll slowly get into the blog. I know we're bouncing around here, but again, we're using these websites as our main platform to navigate this project. And it obviously gives us an opportunity to think critically on how they're laying out this information for people like you and I that are interested in the project. Okay, so about us, let's go see what's going on there. That's the second page here on the company tab. About us, this is what we already, I guess, looked at. Let's go into the team then. Let's going on here. The team, guys, is decent. I gotta admit, a decent team, fully doxed, a lot of information. They're on LinkedIn. The only person that is not on LinkedIn is the blockchain developer, which, is a pretty big it's something important. This dude right here has a lot of, weight on his shoulders in this case. So not having him fully doxed is not the greatest thing, but we can judge him on it. The rest of the team, the CEO, the chief marketing officer, the director of engineering, all these dudes are all fully doxed on LinkedIn, and you can do a lot of research on them. And if you noticed, a lot of them have a lot of experience in, investments, blockchain-based investing, institutional entrepreneurship, a lot of good 10 years here, 20 years there, bachelor's degree in computer science. So they're pretty good, like almost 20 years of experience working with startups and crypto projects across the board, like pretty good stuff. Right, so nonetheless, to be honest, I don't know of them, but I don't need to know of them. They don't have to come from top tier companies in order to provide good quality. And so far, they deserve the benefit of the doubt. I think this team should be good. There's a lot of them on this team. You can scroll and you can see that there are some good advisors, senior advisors. This was that partnership that they got going on, so that's interesting. So some good stuff here. Nonetheless, not bad. Okay, let's move on. There's nothing much to be said there. And contact if you want to get in contact with them. Now the blog. Okay, we're jumping right into this blog. This is where I guess you're going to get a lot of information. We don't have a white paper again, so we're going to have to look at some of these publications. If you notice, the writer, I don't know who this is, Kalman. At the end of the day, Kalman does release a few of these, and there's a few more. You can go show more, and you can see a couple more. Let's start from the top, I guess. How to add Realio network to Kelp. Okay, fine. MetaMask. The Realio network is live, so they finally went live. I think in August, if I'm not mistaken. Teams first decided to launch. No, what they mean here is actually their launch, their Genesis. I think that's what they're talking about. Realio network staking guide if you want to stake. Realio network Genesis validator. Unlocking RST network utility. So the RST network, the Realio security token. Let's see what happens here. Let's open this as a new tab. And let's see if there's anything here. So RST equity, utility, building the right solutions, focusing on real value. Nothing really that important here. 10 things to know. This is a good one. Let's see what we got here. 10 things to know. So obviously you're going to get a lot of info here. There's tons of information. Let me zoom in a little bit so we can get a better view here on this page. Perfect. So what you can see here is when will Realio network launch? April 7th, 2023. That already passed. So we're in full launch in April, which is good. yeah, that's about it. There is the Realio network proof of stake. It's a proof of stake system. Both tokens, the RST and Rio, are both proof of stake. Okay, so one thing that you gotta know is the value proposition for both tokens are slightly different. So RSTs can participate in the consensus process by broadcasting votes, which contain signatures assigned by each validator private keys. But if you go down even further, what you can see is that the RST token is the only token that's going to benefit from the ecosystem's rewards. Let's say by, let's see if I can find the exact words. What makes it unique, Rio, and it's hybrid digital. It's a hybrid. Okay, proof of stake. Where are those words? I know there's somewhere here. I like the way they put it, and I want to make sure I give it to you with that type of wording. I've yet to consider finally being okay. So let's leave it alone for now. It is EVM compatible layer 1. So what it means by EVM compatible is the tokens or the contracts or any projects that are built on the Realio network can be translated to Ethereum. Basically, they use Solidity. So they use the same language, same virtual machine in this case to run the application, which means that they can be deployed on other networks, which is part of their whole idea, is to be cross-platform, right? So who will control the network? Real network built for community, everything that must happen in the network, including the network's consensus process, governance, all of this is all dependent on community. Of course, that's what they want. The voting, they want that to happen. Can you stake on the real network? Yes, you can. Can you mint real? Yes, you can. That's going to be happening, and that's about it. Which chains does the Realio network support? Again, I said Ethereum, of course, because it's EVM, and Algorand and Stellar. Okay, so as a Cosmos-based chain, it's they use the layer 1 from Cosmos to build their own layer 1. Okay, so they're able to achieve interoperability so to other ecosystems, which is good. That's a nice thing to be able to say that they're not limited. What can be built on the network? Pretty much anything. It's a layer 1, so because it's EVM. It's pretty easy to build on, so there are very little areas to entry here. Yeah, that's about it. But then I start to question, remember earlier on, they did mention on the website that it was custom for this type of application, right? Their blockchain, their layer 1 was meant for, the governance of real world assets. But if anything can be built on it, it's almost like contradictory. Like, what do you mean by, Cosmosphere allows the network to leverage different application ecosystems, commodity build diverse apps we can yet to consider. So there's anything can be built on the community can build any diverse apps that they want. So does it offer diversity or specialization for the real world assets? I'm a bit confused there. What makes it unique? We talk about that. The dual token system, guys. I never really liked the dual token systems. If you look at the past other projects that have released dual tokens, they usually don't do well. Like, I don't want to name any names because this video is not about other projects, but whenever dual token systems exist, I think a bit of confusion exists. Now, there's more to be said about the RST token, okay? The RST token is a token that, at the end of the day, has a lot of friction because of, in my opinion, it's their way of, let's put it in the sense of protecting themselves, right? Because a lot of us think, well, is Realio basically trading commodities or securities here? And it is going to be, it's considered securities. When you talk about assets and you're talking about, tangible assets, it is like you're trading securities. Now, how does this fit in with regulation? That is a big thing. Now, they do mention on their website and in many places, I'm hoping they can stumble upon it, is that they are SEC compliant, which for me is like a big question is how? Like, how is Realio SEC compliant? And of course, nowhere on the website do they offer this clarity. Like, what did they do? What steps do they have? What what things, what documents, what connections, what is it that makes them SEC compliant? And there's nothing here to offer that. So of course I have to come up with my own ideas, and I figure maybe this is the reason why they had to separate their tokens and have two. One is for Rio, that drives the network, that's just a utility, and I know that there's other documentation here about this. Let me just see if I can scroll through this blog. While Genesis contract close, next phase NFT, no thank you. Guide to how to guide security token. Let's see what this, let's read this too. This is a good one. Contract alpha launch, real network after 3 years, Ethereum wallet and MetaMask. Maybe this one. Let's see what this one's got to offer. Okay, so basically the RST network, the RST token essentially is where you get your kickback from the ecosystem. Okay, it's how you earn. You don't earn anything from Rio. And unfortunately, it's just a utility token. Now, let's say you own some real estate and all of a sudden something happens where you're making some income from this real estate. You're not going to get it in Rio. You're going to get it in RST. That's what goes up in value. Okay, so I'm going to try to find what's going on here. So, one-way bridge, the X Rio is that token that everybody got in on Genesis. So then how does this play in? See, there's a lot of confusion here. You have X Rios, now you have X Rios, Rios, and RSTs, which another level of confusion. So one X Rio, which is an ERC20, basically, or X Rio Genesis contract can be equal to one ERC20 Rio. So you can basically, after April, now you're able to transfer these X Reals, which were issued at Genesis, into real tokens. And then you have the bridge, a two-way bridge going back and forth, interoperability, Ethereum, Algorand, you get what I mean, back and forth. A lot of confusion here, guys, with all these different tokens. So for me, this is another issue. Other than 50 cent burned, this reduced the impact of the future inflation caused by X Real mint. So okay, maybe they're doing their due diligence to keep the Rio token isolated from this whole idea that they got here and making it still valuable. I don't know, guys. A lot of confusion here, but nonetheless, at Genesis, you got X Reals. Now that in April they went full on, you're able now to transfer those X Reals into real tokens, RIO tokens. Okay, move on. What else do we got here? I'm hoping to find some good documentation here. We recommend accredited investors. Nothing important here, unfortunately. And this is what I was talking about. No white paper means that we have to bounce around from white paper, from blog post to blog post to try to figure this thing out. So we have to put our detective lens cap on to try to figure this out. Yeah, there's another thing that I wanted to bring up. Proof of work, which provides a scalable energy. Just one language that I'm really looking for. Nonetheless, we'll keep on going. There it is. Upgrade will rely on community proposals. Pretty good. Network users, which provides much lower barriers for entry. A lot of good language here, guys, if you're interested. Okay, let's move on. Let's go back to this blog. What else did we catch them all? What else are we doing? Realio hires new announcement. Okay, this is older. Yeah, May 2021. And the last blog post was May 2023. Wow. Realio networking staking guide. What is this? For staking, network is alive. What's going on here? Anything interesting here? Important dates, features. Okay, so a little bit of info here, guys. Okay, so Cosmos SDK, so it's open source building. Okay, this is good. We know this already. It's part of the Cosmos layer 0. Aims of part of growth Cosmos ecosystem. These are the key features of Rio. Proof of stake, Web3 compliant, user-based governance, staking ability, tokenization ability. The tokens, okay, there's Rios. Okay, this is important, guys. Token is the native gas and utility token of the Rio network. Okay, so that's all it is, a utility. Rio is native multi-chain asset that currently exists on Ethereum. Yeah, Algorand, Stellar. So you basically have to be able, you're going to see that we're going to have to use 3 different scanners to see what's going on either of these networks. With a Genesis event for a native Rio. We have already had the Genesis event, so a lot of tokens are already in circulation. In fact, 55 million. RST, this is where things get a little bit into it. is a hybrid digital security, okay, which offers very similar features to the Rio. So it provides ownership and profit sharing rights. That is the difference, okay? So Rio tokens don't give you this. RIO tokens do not give you this aspect. So if you think you're buying Rio tokens and you're going to be rewarded for the ownership and profit sharing of the network, you're not going to be getting that. And that's very unfortunate, because a lot of people think, well, you know, if Rio does good, as far as their value proposition, Rio tokens should go up. Technically, yes, because I guess you're going to be Rio tokens are pay your gas fees and your emissions and all of that kind of stuff, and you'll eventually do well. But the reality is RSTs are the ones that are going to give you the kickbacks for ownership and profit sharing rights. So that's something to consider, right? So alongside staking and utility features to participating on the network and validating blocks, rewards, and so on. So very similar to what Rio does, but just adding this upon it, guys. That's something to really consider. Other than that, investment platform, real world theme, metaverse prop freehold app. This is something to understand, is their current wallet is basically non-custodial. They are holding your keys, whether they're sharding it and throwing it around the network, whatever they said. The reality is you're not holding your keys, not your crypto, and that's the reality. But lately they've been coming out with statements that they're going to start to allow fully custodial keys, meaning you're going to be able to hold your own keys and your own wallet and still be able to participate on the network, which is something that is absolutely necessary. Okay, so something to consider. EVM compatible, again, a lot of repetition. So this is it. Now, one more last thing about RST. In order to buy RSTs, you need to buy them via KYC options. Okay, which means that this may be the reason why they have their two tokens. They want to comply and they want to be SEC compliant, and that way they can, get involved in such a business where they are basically trading securities. And in this case, they're going to follow all the rules and regulations using the RST tokens. Am I getting confused here? Is it SRT or RST? I think they're RSTs, real security tokens. And then now in this case, maybe that's their only way of protecting themselves or isolating both tokens from that friction or from that risk of regulation. You get what I mean? So if you go back onto the main website, there are options where you're going to have to KYC to get involved. Let me see if I can find that. Is it on this website? Oh God, guys, there's all over the place, always all over the place. There's info everywhere. You got to just be bouncing around from blog post to blog post. And then if you get it all put together, you might be lucky enough to have a bit of confidence. Let's go here and just, to actually feel like you got the gist of it. Yeah, like, you know what? This is the problem. I'm trying to show you guys things. There's stuff everywhere. Get started. Let's see if we get started. And by the way, guys, now that this is showing me, I've been getting tons of notifications of viruses on this website. Now, I'm not saying that there's some, they're trying to access my computer for some apparent reason. I don't know how. I'm getting multiple notifications as I'm doing this deep dive on these websites. So that's problematic for sure. So you got to get an account to get started. Okay, fine. But just to let you know, in order to buy these, security tokens, you need to be fully KYC'd, and you're not going to be able to get those tokens on any regular exchange, right? So is this another website, another thing? Look, right? So create an account with Realio Fund. Okay, so one of the websites. Complete the SEC required KYC check. So that's the only way you're going to get access to those tokens, right? The RST tokens. And then pass the required identity verification, of course, KYC. Log into your account and execute the investment. So I have a feeling that my thesis or my idea here is that they're trying to separate both of the assets and make the this token, right, the RST token, compliant, while the Rio token can kind of do its own thing by being a utility token like many other projects are using their utility token. So I know I gave it a lot of flack by having two tokens. I get it. And I don't really like ecosystems that have two tokens, but maybe this is their strategic approach to get fully compliant here while still being involved in the cryptocurrency space from a decentralized aspect. Okay, so let's give that to them, that's the plan. But I would love to see this in actual writing, and black and white writing, where we can actually read their strategy here. And this is not something that's very transparent. Okay, so a couple of things to get this project, to get into this RST, you need to be fully KYC'd and basically get all involved with regulation. Okay, if that's what you're interested in. Okay, let's go back to one of the websites again, guys. More blog posts, go feel free to read, but I feel like we covered the majority of the bread and butter here of what this project is all about. If we go back here again, let's keep on scrolling. Nothing else was on this page. Company, team, we talked about the team already, about us, team, this is what we talked about. Okay, and that's about it, guys. The blog, again, back to the blog. So a bit of bouncing around everywhere, a bit, just a little bit. Now, before we move on, let's get on to CoinGecko and just repeat, this information is not accurate whatsoever. There's nothing here that is correct. That's something that you got to understand. Now, all of a sudden, we got 55 million in supply, but if you go on CoinMarketCap, it's not the case. So we're going to get a little bit of now all of a sudden it got updated. This is very, very new. Okay, this wasn't like this I would say a few hours ago. So for me on my end, and in this case, this is something that we need to consider, is that a lot of this information is kind of shifting around back and forth. So here we are now. What I want to do also is go on some of these ether scans just to show you. Let's go on the Ethereum one and kind of show you the holders, and we'll talk about some of these holders. Now, remember that there's 55 million tokens out there, okay? Now, there's 3 different, let's say, networks holding these tokens. Of the ones that are here on the Ethereum network, you can see that 20% is in this bag right here. Okay, that's a significant amount nonetheless. We got a bigger portion right into here if we go here on the token chart, but we do have a lot here. Other accounts, I guess these are small accounts, and these are some mediocre to small accounts, and then there's this one, which is about 20%. Something to consider. There's a lot of token. I know the project is young, so you're going to have some heavyweight whales that took a bit of a chance in there, and they're going to want to be compensated. We get it, and as long as these individuals are not the team or directly related to the team, I think we're okay, right? That's the reality. Let's get into another ether scan because we got others. Let's do the Algo Explorer. Open a new tab, and then we can see what we got here. Any technical information. I like to look at the token holders. Let's see if we got something here. Offline MEXC holds a significant amount, and then this wallet right here. I don't know the percentage wise, but it's quite a bit of tokens right there. You can see that about 29 million tokens, 30 million tokens, and this one is a good amount of 20 million tokens. So a significant amount of tokens there being held by these 2 wallets, and then one more, which is their this is the ETH Explorer, but they have another Explorer, guys. So you can see how this is everywhere, right? A little bit everywhere. There's their Realio scanner Explorer. You can dig around here. You got a lot of information here on the consensus, staking, the blocks, the average blocks. You get what I mean? Transactions, lots of stuff happening here if you want to dig in around. But of course, as you can see, this project requires a bit of a microscope to actually make some clarity. Okay, so let's talk about the tokenomics. At the end of the day, I wish there was a bit of a little bit more clarity as to how rewards are going to be distributed. Obviously, it's proof of stake. People that are validating and staking both tokens get rewarded. So the RIO tokens, the Rio tokens, and the RST tokens both get rewarded for staking and validating and all of that. And of course, the RST tokens get rewarded through that. Basically the gains that the overall network makes overall, right? So that's something to understand, and we're not going to use this, but I did prepare my typical infographic. So let's do that, guys. I know you want to take a look at that, so let's do that quick. The infographic for today, of course, Realio, great project. I like what it is trying to do, but I just feel like it's a bit disjointed. They got to really get things going here and make things a little bit more clear for everybody. So let's zoom in right into the coin info. Coin info as of yesterday or today, pretty much, but I finished doing a bit of research yesterday. Ticker is RIO, of course. The price 25 cents, 24 cents. Market cap 13.5 million is the market cap, so it's very, very small. Very, very small, a lot of room to grow, a lot of areas for improvement, as can be seen, that can be ironed out for this project. The trade volume, 1.3 million, which is absolutely healthy. 77% of the current market cap is being traded in and out of this exchange. Now, is that a red flag? I don't think so. I think that could be a positive thing, but I've never seen such high trading volume before, right? So that means there's a lot of liquidity, a lot of buying and a lot of selling. And I'm not 100% sure if I really like such a high number all the time, right? So I usually aim for about 15%, 10 to 15%. If I can get within that trading volume within a project, I know that there's a healthy amount. Now, in this case, does that mean that there's not a lot of staking? There's too much trading happening? What does that really mean, and how does that impact the network? Guys, feel free to chime in the comment section below. Tell me what you think about this 77% trading volume. Supply 55 million reals. We know this. A lot of the exchanges prior to today did not have this. Guys, I'm actually shocked that this morning, as of this recording, some of that data is finally being implemented or updated, which is good, which equates, this 55 million equates to about 74% of the max supply. Okay, so that's something to consider, that the majority of the tokens are already in circulation and that the rest of them are going to be distributed according to that token distribution schedule, which basically takes up to 38 years to see the entire lot of max supply being in circulation, which means that we're not going to get a lot of that pressure with regards to having tokens hit the market. Okay, so that's really good. The max supply is 75 million, and fully diluted right now is at about $18.4 million, which, guys, that is very small, very, very, very small. Okay, so there's a lot of potential growth here. And I think that the negatives that it has, according to Rio, right now is all about clarity and transparency and understanding, right? If you want mainstream society or, everybody to really get comfortable with your project, you got to lay it out good. Guys, I've been doing deep dives here for a while now, and I feel like the more and more I do them, I start to realize which projects pay attention to the detail. It's almost like they have given up. From a front end situation. In the back end, they could be working on some amazing tech, but the front end is not showing us that. So how are we supposed to know? How are people that want to get involved into this network, into this project, gonna know what they are doing in the back end? Their gateway, their window to what is happening in the back end needs to improve drastically. They need a bit of help there. Okay, so let's continue. Ecosystem, self custody and a non-custodial service. So they have a little bit going on there. They have a self-custody thing that is coming around, very soon, and they also have a non-custodial services, which again, right now, that's all they have going for them. That's their main thing that they got now. That you can basically open up a wallet, they shard out your keys, and they offer you security, but nonetheless, you do not hold your keys just yet. They're offering that self-custody service very soon, and we'll see how that works out. Realioverse, we talked about that whole metaverse, basically selling off plots of land on the virtual world. Guys, that's something that's up and coming within their ecosystem. Let's see how round 2 goes for such projects, because we've seen projects like that already. And we're going to have to see how this plays out. The ecosystem is still very small, so a lot of growth. You can take it as it is. I give it a 6 out of 10 because there's nothing really happening there. There's no real use case just yet. So you can look at the 6 out of 10 that there's a room for growth, room for possibility, or you can look at it the 6 out of 10 to say, look, the reality is they got nothing. So it is what it is. Okay, so utility, this is unfortunate because as I'm even talking about and recording this video, I'm starting to understand that maybe the benefit of the doubt has to be put on is that their strategy is to separate the risk. And it may be the case, but I'm not part of the team. They need to be clear about what is the strategy behind having 2 tokens, having a real token with a utility. The utility token has a native gas and utility tokens for driving the network, which is fine. But it does not, that real token does not qualify for profit sharing rights, which is an unfortunate thing because then we have to look for RSTs. So they need to be clear as to why the second token was introduced. So 2 token confusion is definitely there. And I've seen it in the past when 2 tokens get released, that's when things start to go wrong. Okay, it's never a positive thing, because it's almost like they're competing. Those two tokens are competing against one another, and people that don't understand their ecosystem and how it works don't know which one to invest in and which one to get their feet wet in, right? So that's the introduction to the project is vague. You don't know which one to buy, and in this case, so I think that needs to be really clarified. Needs to a little bit of effort there needs to be put into the get into the shoes of the network users. A mainstream. If you want mainstream adoption, you got to understand that the mainstream people are not tech savvy, and they're not going to know exactly what this is all about. And to be honest, a person like me, that I would consider a person that understands things like this, really say plainly, that's what I really would. What's the main utility of Rio and the RST token, and why do two exist? Okay, let's move on. Roadmap provides key milestones but no dates. Okay, guys, I've seen a bit of a trend here. A lot of companies are not willing to put their money where their mouth is, and basically say, look, on this date or this time frame, I want to achieve this. Of course, they don't want to be held accountable, and I understand that. As a developer myself, I get it. Sometimes there's scenarios where you don't meet your deadlines, and then all of a sudden stakeholders are not happy about that. And then here in crypto space, you know what we see when that happens? The price tanks, which is a very unfortunate thing, but that keeps people accountable, right? That's the reality, and we want accountability and we want transparency. There's a great team behind them, but guys, the team is fully doxed, lots of experience. They get the blockchain and engineering development and marketing aspect of blockchain technologies and projects. So I'm surprised to see such ambiguity in the technicals here, because they know it very well. They need to wrap this all up in a very nice package. And unfortunately, we hate to say that, we don't want to judge a book by its cover, but the reality is we buy books, the most of the time we pick up a book based on its cover. Right, that's the reality, and if that's the case, when we're going to a website and it's disjointed and there's no white paper, guys, that's a very limited thing here for a project here. They're basically running on one leg, so that's not really good here. Social, we didn't get into the socials. We can do that quickly. Their website, their X or their crypto Twitter presence, 830 posts. Okay, they joined April 2020, and they only have this many posts. Not really the greatest, not very active. Okay, and then they have 40,000 followers, which is okay, fine. But then you start looking at their activity, and the reality is their activity is not the greatest. A lot of retweets, that's fine. And then September 27th, and then the last one after, that's an ad, okay, fine. September 17th, that's a huge span, and it's a retweet. Not really that retweet. What's going on? Like, give me something that you're working on, like, you know what I mean? So September 5th, so they'll come out once a week and come up with a happy Labor Day. Like, that's great that you're trying to engage, but what kind of labor are you doing? We want to know what you guys are doing. Block Expo, you get what I mean? So honestly, not enough, and the stats show it. Okay, the stats are really clear about how they represented here. The socials, they have 40,000 followers, great, and you can see their followers for the last 30 days are down 12%. So coming down slightly, not drastically. I've seen projects come down significantly more in the last little while, but in comparison to the last previous 30 days, they're down 12%. And in fact, their tweets, their issuance of tweets, they issued 10 more in comparison to the last 30 days, which is up 100%. Guys, still, we're talking about 10 tweets in 30 days. They got to pick it up. They got to pick up the pace. Tweeting, at the end of the day, it doesn't cost a lot. I know you got to have a marketing team, and marketing dollars are expensive, but we know how valuable a presence on crypto Twitter is on X, and we got to make sure that you're up to speed there. Get something going, get some engagement with the community going, and especially that your websites are so disjointed. We need a little bit of that activity, okay? What else do we have here? The tokenomics, guys, 74% are in already of max supply in circulation. Slow emissions, which is good, 38 years in total, which I don't expect any negativity. Again, the only thing that I hate about the techonomics, and it's just about tokenomics, that reality is the lack of ambiguity. and is it fair launch? Nothing was stated there that it was a fair launch. Why couldn't they say that it was a fair? I didn't see any language on their website that it was following fair launch protocols on Genesis. And those Rio tokens, more layers of confusion, a lot of confusion, and how that affects Rio tokenomics. A lot of ambiguity there, guys, with regards to tokenomics. Partnerships, pretty good for its size, honestly. Nothing negative really there. Just obviously there's always areas for improvement. Maybe I should have gave it a 9. Given its size, they have a decent capital management company with them, and a Zero, a technology firm with the global democratizing access to private capital markets. Great, right within their neck of the woods, which is perfect. Exchanges, MEXC, Uniswap, and OKX being a heavyweight, MEXC up and coming for sure, and Uniswap giving you those DEX, a DEX alternative. 6 out of 10, because there's still tons of opportunity here to be listed on major exchanges. Given the fact that it's an up and coming narrative, there are definite opportunities there for more volume and exposure through other exchanges. All right, guys, my verdict. Obviously, you probably get the gist of what I'm trying to say here. My verdict right now is basically going to say, okay, it is great. It's built on Cosmos at a layer 0, bridge to Algorand and Stellar, and they have their own blockchain as well. Okay, part of the new real world asset. The narrative is hot. Lots of talk about the real world asset narrative. The friction that exists with the SEC is something that I'm keeping in mind, of course, because this is going to be a battle of whether it is a security or they're selling securities or commodities. Okay, proof of stake, still that's their consensus mechanism. Distribution through emission schedule, 38 years to reach max. We talked about that plenty of times. Regulation risk. This is something that bothers me. Again, we don't know exactly. This is uncharted territory, very speculative. If it pulls through, great. We understand their strategy of having that token system. If it is to kind of make it compliant and reach that compliancy, then great, that was a great strategy. But it would be nice to involve stakeholders to know exactly what that strategy is with a nice, well-written white paper. There is nothing there. Okay, even if it was one of those interactive ones, that would still be great. Something where we can find all the information that we need, with a communications officer there keeping it up to date and giving us the information that we need. Hard to understand for retail investors. Really, I really feel for individuals that are trying to gain some information. How are they physically and technologically gonna tokenize somebody's house? Like, what does that mean? Like, walk me through it. Is somebody going to have to bring you the deed to their home? Who's going to validate that deed is valid and real? All countries going to be able to qualify? What is that? Give me the process. Give me the idea. And I think even if it's still hypothetical, because it's still not a working product here, even if it's still hypothetical and this is the idea, come up with something. Explain your ideas, right? So in this case, we can walk with you every step of the way so that we can feel confident with the process, the workflow that eventually is going to have to exist to make this ecosystem grow and flourish, right? So right now, a lot of basically stones unturned, and I feel like we need to get our hands dirty here with the technicals, the reality of what this project is all about. So hard to understand. It definitely is, and not a lot of clarity. Ecosystem is very small, so you could look at that as, look, it's risky, or you can look at it lots of potential growth. It is one of the leading projects right now. Since they updated their market cap, it's definitely right up there as one of the largest and the most talked about. So something to consider here is that some projects don't require decent fundamentals. Some projects don't even require a good website. Some projects don't even require a doxed or a solid team. Some projects don't, they just need a good icon. And you get what I'm trying to get here with, is at the end of the day, projects that are in speculation sometimes pump for the most random reasons, and they all offer different value propositions based on different, context. And in that case, Rio could still do very, very well despite its limitations and despite its age. It still has some things to work out. So ecosystem is very small and it's still in speculation. So you got to understand that if you're going to wait for this ecosystem to be big and for it to iron out all its kinks, trust me, this thing's not going to be trading at the price that it is right now if it works everything out. Okay, so you want to get in when things are still a little bit uncertain, because that's where the risk is, but also the reward. trading volume is excessively healthy, and to the point that I'm a little bit concerned, like, how is 77% of the volume being traded? I don't understand how that works out. That's a significant amount. How is that even the case? Is anybody staking anything? Like, I don't know if the metric or if the actual math that is provided is correct, but this is the numbers that are there. They're listed. Information on CoinMarketCap and CoinGecko is not accurate, so this could be one of these, but I try to do my own maths here to try to figure out what's going on here. And the reality is that you have just recently we're seeing a little bit of an update on some of the metrics on these two websites, so I'm glad to see that. I don't know if it was the efforts by the team or CoinMarketCap just realizing that they're dropping the ball there, and CoinGecko dropping the ball, but they need to keep it up to date. Team is fully doxed on LinkedIn. Go check it out. You can get a lot of information with regards to their history, their education, what they're working on, and so on, and their background is decently strong. So I'm good. I'm supportive of the team. I like what the team is trying to do. The engagement on X needs a little bit of a wake up call. It needs a bit of attention. You can't let it slip, especially that right now the momentum that you're getting amongst the community is really powerful. Put some more fuel on that fire and get that thing going, right? If you want more, you're in the right time to get more attention on X, and you're not using momentum to your advantage. As a momentum trader, that's what I do, guys. I trade cryptocurrencies based mostly on momentum. At the end of the day, if you're in a positive trend to the upside with regards to momentum, put some fuel on that fire so you can reach maximum value during an uptrend of momentum. So they need to get really some good exposure on their socials and get their website organized. No official white paper, guys. I can't believe it. I was in shock when I first started this project of doing research. I was in shock there was no white paper. I actually went on their Discord and asked around, and they're like, oh, there's a white papers floating around that's outdated somewhere. That's the response I got. And go to the blog. That's the response I got. Everything was basically redirecting me to a blog, guys. I've never heard such basically unprofessionalism in a while here, guys. Like basically directing people to a blog to figure out, and you saw how it was bouncing around from blog post to blog post just to kind of pick out the value. There is not an ideal way to get things done. You want to present every piece of information on a platter, especially if you want people to be a part of your network. Okay, so something to consider here, guys. 2 websites need focus, a lot of information everywhere. 2 token system, missing the reasoning. I don't know why they need 2 tokens. I can, hypothesize. I can come up with a potential reason, but nothing clear and official out of the team's mouth. So something that we need. RST provides ownership and profit sharing rights, whereas Rio does not. Okay, Rio is just a utility token. RST is what's going to give you everything that Rio has, plus ownership and provides sharing rights. Okay, so important stuff there. Okay, so something to consider, and you need to do KYC in order to hold RST and to buy RST tokens. You cannot find those on exchanges. All right. So my verdict as far as price goes, guys, all my pricing, every time I put price targets, I'm very, very skeptical. Number one, I'm very modest. I'm not going to tell you this thing is going to do 1000x because nobody knows that. It's a lot of, that's a moonshot. I'm not here to call moonshots. I'm here to be real. And the reality here with Rio is the fact that there is not much competition in the space within the narrative. Their narrative is very new. Their narrative is very speculative. And let's assume the benefit of the doubt that they are going to accomplish everything that they've wanted to accomplish for this bull run. Okay, it could be true that this thing's going to run up. They're SEC compliant. It's going to be the greatest thing ever here within that narrative. All of a sudden, we start talking about, okay, then where is it going to go? If we have no benchmark of large cap tokens within the same narrative to use as a benchmark, then how can we actually know where it may go, right? So in this case, we start to think, well, look, if it reaches a $500 million market cap in a bull run, that's nothing. That's fine. That's modest in the sense that if you think about the total market cap that we have right now, We're at $1 trillion. We peaked at 3 trillion. So we need a little bit more to get up there to previous high as far as total market cap. And if we exceed the total market cap, we might get to 5 trillion, which is very good still. And if we do that, you can expect that the overall market, including these new narratives, are going to get some capital, some interest in them, and capital is going to flow into them. And in that case, I expect at least this thing, if everything goes well and their plans go well, and again, they iron all of this out, and if we use a very bullish case, I think that they could reach at least $8, right? That's a 35x. For me, that would be absolutely healthy. Now, anything above that is bonus, of course. What about a $1 billion market cap? Guys, if you look at CoinGecko and you look at the projects that are at $1 billion, guys, it could happen. It doesn't mean it can. I'm just saying that a $500 million market cap is within a, large mid-cap type altcoin, right? Not including Ethereum, Bitcoin, all those big ones, but just keeping the majority of altcoins with it. When you see a $500 million altcoin, you've known that it reached somewhat of maturity here. Now it's breaking out to become a heavyweight, a blue chip, you know what I mean? So a large cap, that's next level. And the reality is that in this narrative, there is none of those. There aren't any project that is considered blue chip or market leaders. So right now, all those small projects that are within this narrative are going to fight tooth and nail to become the heavyweight of that narrative. And does Rio have it in them to achieve that status? And if it does, a $500 million market cap is totally attainable, okay, to reach that status for one bull run. And then we can see what happens going forward. A bear market going forward, another bull run. Do we reach $1 billion market cap? How high do we actually go? So an $8 price target is not bad. I think that it is a decent price target given a bull run, given that they can get everything ironed out and it continues to be bullish. $8 is the target. I give it a 7 out of 10, guys. And reality, it's not even about its utility. It may not even be behind the tech. It's about presentation. And once you finish doing a deep dive and you're done doing all the research, you almost feel like you end up feeling like you're trying to work for them. You have to work too hard to really justify the purchase or the investment or becoming a part of this network or becoming a stakeholder. It takes too much work to feel confident about it. And when that happens, you don't feel very confident. And that for me is a big thing, because the confidence is going to allow you to DCA and want to take a little bit of risk on this project. And unless I have that confidence, guys, I'm not willing to take a significant amount of risk. So the risk that I'm going to be willing to take is directly related to the rating. Basically, if I wanted to get in with $100, I'm going to say no, I'm going to get in with 70. And that's the reality, because I don't feel that confident. If I was fully confident, all in, $100, let's go. But I'm not that confident because of the way it was presented to me. And I still don't feel like all their ducks are aligned, ready to go here, guys. The team needs to do a better job presenting themselves here to the stakeholders of the market. All right, guys, I know you're here to talk a bit about charts. You can see Rio doing pretty good, buying low at a nice retracement at the bottom of the range. But the question is, are we going to be coming down to slightly lower levels? Okay, let's look at this in a little bit more detail. You can see right now, this consolidation is where it's at, right? The green arrows, this is something that we've talked about earlier on. We've talked about green arrows on my channel significantly here, guys. If you're new to the channel, feel free to join. I'm going to be live tonight at 7:30, obviously, and I release daily videos twice a day on projects, on TA, and I'm live 7:30 Eastern each and every day talking about price action. And these green arrows are, generally speaking, what I start to look at when we get those retracements. Okay, so we've been respecting this zone. We fell below the green arrow, no doubt, trying to break the lower levels. The 1 hour is in the chop zone, which means that this thing can go sideways for the next little while. It could be very possible. Do we get some support here and finally get overbought once again and get another peak up to this level? It could be very possible. The only thing that I can say right now is that we're making lower lows on the price action, double bottom, higher highs, higher lows on the price action. So we could get a little bit of a bounce here based on the 1 hour. You can see it's starting to roll over, but the edge should be on the 4 hour, given the fact that the daily's in the chop zone and we're not oversold. We need to get oversold here on the daily, and the chance you take of going long right now is that we might get a bit of a pop up to the point of control at about 20 cents and then get a quick rejection and get into oversold conditions on the RSI. Oversold conditions will assume that we're going to come down and test test lower levels, and lower levels could be right down here, 886, 786 retracements, which are very deep retracements given the fact that we've already retraced here, which I'm going to eyeball this. Let's look at, wow, the spike to the upside was decent. What kind of retracement are we in right now? Swing low, swing high. We're at a 786. 886 is down here. It's very, very possible we hit that 886, get very oversold here on the daily, and then finally get a nice bounce to the upside as a higher low, a confirmation low that this was the low. Okay, that's what we need. We need a confirmation low, a higher low. Down here would be good. Where we are right now, still decent, guys. Dabble in, but dabble in a little bit here, a little bit down here if we have the opportunity, and that way you're DCAing here at the bottom of the range. What I really want to see is the daily oversold. Let's get into the 4 hour here for a second. You'll see that we got oversold a couple of times. Lower lows on the price action, lower lows on the RSI. No signs of bullish divergence, but we're getting bullish divergence on the MACD. So the MACD, lower lows on the price action, higher highs on the MACD histogram bars, and the EMAs are slowly going to the upside, trying to get into the bullish control zone. And it could be that we're getting a bit of a pivot point to potentially get back to range highs to about 31 cents. Guys, if we hit 31 cents, that would be a great area to potentially de-risk, because you never know, if we don't have enough strength to break above the second time we get another rejection, we could be range bound here for the next little while on the 4 hour time frame, kind of bouncing around here, bouncing around until Bitcoin gives us the confirmation that bull run is on. Is bull run on right now? Are you convicted? I'm not. I'm being very, very hesitant here. I'm being very skeptical about what's going on here in the bull in this sideways price action, because it could just be a transitionary phase until the bull run. So you can see that nonetheless, Realio right now is not a bad time to buy the dip. Okay, based on the 4 hour, we look like we're trying to get overbought, but generally speaking, I would like to buy in when the 4 hour is oversold, and especially when the daily is oversold. When that happens, we start to get signs, we start to look for signs of bullish divergence at critical levels of horizontal resistance. If you start to look at horizontal resistance or support, right here is the level. This is the next volume gap that I'm interested in, and we tagged it beautifully. So do we come back there and test it again? It could be. If we do get another wick to down to these levels, 786, between the 786 and the 886, this is the zone. I'm going to put a red box right in here, and I'm going to try to line it up right there, and I'm going to try to line it right there, and I'm going to scooch this over, and I'm going to make it yellow, just to make it a little bit more clear. This is the zone. If we come back down here, it wouldn't be a bad time to DCA, especially if the daily gets oversold right within this area. If this RSI gets down to oversold conditions, I'll be spamming the buy button, and I'll be allocating a proportion of my portfolio directly related to the risk that I think that we're taking here. Remember, my rating 7 out of 10 means that I'm not going to be going all in until we get some of those ambiguities clarified, and you know, that would definitely give us some of the bullish fundamentals to buy the dip even harder. All right, guys, thank you for stopping by. If you haven't yet, do the channel a huge favor, slap the like button. It does really help out with the algorithm. If you want to follow me on those socials, the links are in the description below. Feel free to join that Discord, guys. The Discord is a great community, lots of good alpha, trade setups, fundamentals, and all that good stuff. Guys, see you tonight at 7:30 Eastern. Take care, have a good one, and don't forget, buy the dip.